rotate this jaw higher while you do that, and this bottom jaw completely comes off of the tool. Well, hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to look at an interesting new tool from Klein Tools, and you may have already seen this on some of my shorts and reels and everything else I've done. The problem with shorts and reels is you have around a minute and a half at the most to explain a tool, and a lot of times people get a little bit of a different impression. I try to just, in my reels and shorts, just present the tool. You make the decision of what you think of it. I don't say too much one way or another about how good something is or isn't. So that's more what I like my longer form videos for, like this. This tool is really interesting because it's kind of taking a direct swipe at Knipex. And to see Klein and Knipex kind of compete is interesting to me. I like it because any way you look at this type of a tool, competition is always a good thing. And when another company comes up with an idea that changes another tool, even if it is as good, isn't as good, any of that we're going to get into, it causes innovation to happen across all brands usually. So it's a good thing. Be aware of that. Now, it's not quite the same as when Harbor Freight comes out with their own copies of pliers, wrenches, and cobras. That, to me, that's a little ridiculous. They even copied the Raptor. So they have these same tools in a Chinese Harbor Freight version that you can go get. A lot of channels have compared those two. I haven't done a comparison of those two just because I can't hardly bring it to myself to actually go buy somebody's copy and compare it. So, in full transparency here, I am a brand ambassador for Knipex, and they send me a lot of tools. Now, I have bought far more Knipex tools than they've ever sent me, for sure. And they would even tell you the same. I had a massive collection before they ever picked me up. So, I still buy tools because I don't like the messaging and asking them for free stuff. It's not really my style, but occasionally if there's something I really want to try that's maybe a little bit sold out or hard to get, I will ask them. So this is a pliers wrench that I have had a very long time. This far predates my relationship with Knipex. And actually, everything here from Knipex that I'm going to show, I've paid for. But full transparency, they do send me a lot of stuff. So the other side of this is Klein actually contacted me and asked me to do a reel about this new tool. Without further ado, this is the tool right here. This is Klein's new combination plier wrench Cobra. And it's really interesting in that you can do both things with it. So we all know how a lot of times a multi-tool is never as good as a dedicated tool. So we're going to get into what that is, why that is here in a second. So with this one, they actually compensated me and sent me the tool to make the reel for Instagram only. They didn't have anything to do with the fact that I posted it on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere. So they did pay for the one on Instagram. But in that reel, like I always do, I just presented the tool. I don't have a whole lot to say about it beyond that. So with this tool, it's now that you know all of the background of this, so you know, both of these companies I kind of represent in some small way. So anyway, with that being said, so we're all clear, I want to go into this. Nobody knows this video is being made but me. I want to show you guys actually what I think of this and how this works compared. At least direct comparison of the jaws and the mechanisms. Okay, so with this tool from Klein Tools, they changed quite a bit of things from Knipex, and some of it may be to get around, who knows, patents and whatnot like that. Where with Knipex, both on the pliers, wrenches, and the Cobras, you have the push button right here that you just push a direct button. It moves the spring here in the back, that little flat spring, and that's how you adjust the jaws. You can do it usually pretty easily with one hand or a little bit of assistance from the other. With the Klein tools, instead of having this button up here, they put a switch right here where you actually push here, and instead of it pressing in the button, it lifts it. See how that lifts there? And then you can adjust. It's different. It's taken me a little bit of getting used to because I'm used to going all the way up here on the head and adjusting. Where with this one, it's really just right in front of your hand. Not a bad design. Although, probably just a little bit more complex than the Knipex version. And time will tell how it holds up because it does have, of course, a little bit of a swiveling mechanism that has to happen when this lifts the lock out of right here. And as you know, every bit of this Knipex, pliers, wrenches, cobras, and everything can be user replaced. Like, we can replace this stuff. There's a screw right here on these. Same on the cobras, everything. And it's just a little Torx drive screw that removes this little flat spring, and then you can slide out this entire button mechanism and replace it. So Knipex actually sells rebuild kits for these, and you can just take it apart and put it back together yourself in a matter of under a minute. I've done it to several of them. Maybe we need to cover that probably in a short in the future, how to actually replace the kit for these. But suffice it to say, it's a very simple, pretty much bulletproof mechanism that you can replace yourself. This, on the other hand, the only way you'd be able to do this, you would have to drift this pin out that's right in here. There's nothing, it's pinned in place, and then this is on a rocker, and the other end just has a loose connection right here. There's no way to take this apart that I can tell without a little bit of risk of damage. There's springs, there's actually a normal coil style spring underneath this button that causes everything to be held down here when you let off and you just press it to open it. So just a completely different design and not rebuildable. The issue that I see that could happen here is a lot of times these particular tools are used in really nasty environments. That's why some of mine look like they look at this point. And I'll finish up a plumbing job or just pull this thing right out of the mud. It's been on a water meter, any number of nasty places, and just the whole head be full of mud, and I'll just wash the whole thing out and be good to go. I do not think this mechanism here is going to clean out as good as the Knipex version. Especially since if you really, I don't know how you could get enough in here because I've been washing these out for several years and not had an issue yet. Just after you do that, be sure you spray them down with some oil or wipe them with a oil wipe or something like that. But on here, if you get stuff all up inside here, I could see that being really frustrating if it ends up where you can't actually lock it up because you've got stuff jammed underneath this little pedal here. The other interesting part of this, and this has a place, and I will tell you where I think it really fits in nicely, but the way this works, to go ahead and show you, open this down, and you actually just rotate this jaw higher while you do that, and this bottom jaw completely comes off of the tool. And then you just flip it, and they're identical on both sides, so the locking mechanisms are. So then you can just bring this back in. Let's see if I can get it right this time. Bring it back in from the bottom, and it is a very easy thing to do. It switches right around, and now you have the jaw this way. And if you notice, look at the grip you have with this jaw right here. So comparing that to, this would be trying to copy a Cobra on this side of the equation. So if we put these two together, you can see what the difference in the two jaws actually is right there. There's a significant difference in shape and all. The Klein, I've not used enough yet to know how the teeth hold up. They've got the teeth here on the front little edge are straight in this way. These teeth are angled this way. So they are set to bite really nicely, especially loosening, in my opinion. So the issue with when they're a Cobra is you still have a completely smooth upper jaw. And that smooth upper jaw is not going to have really any grip at all on something round. Very little. It's there really just to crush the pipe into the teeth on the bottom to turn. So you're counting on one gripping surface instead of what Cobra has, which is two. And the same thing when you're comparing these two, it's the mechanism differences. But this is actually a quick set Cobra here, which is I'm not sure it's my favorite, but it's a solid system too. So with this too, when you flip this back around to a pliers wrench, I mean, as a pliers wrench, it will work just like really very similarly to the Knipex pliers wrench. And you can see that's how long it takes to switch it from pliers wrench to Cobra in real time. It's quick. Time will tell, though, on when this system is dirty, how fast you'll be able to flip that jaw over and continue. That's where I see it, you know, the actual trial by mud, in my opinion, with a tool like this. So the pliers wrench side of this, when you have it, let me show you something here. All right, this is a very worn pair of Knipex, but if you look right in here, you'll notice they actually have this jaw set. If I can get the light just so, there's a little tiny bit of gap at the back of the jaw when the tip is touching. Part of the reason for that is when you lock this tool down and squeeze, you can actually see those jaws cinch down to flat. It gives it a little bit of room to go ahead and actually get flat when completely squeezed. These work well even for things like bending sheet metal back into place. Like if you have something that got bent all up, you can actually use them almost as a little press to go down it and flatten things. That's how tight they close. I love that, and I've used it for that kind of thing way more than you'd think, especially like a bent aluminum panel in an HVAC system, vent, the duct connectors, all kinds of little things where you need to bend a little thin piece of sheet metal. These go to a jaw that is so flat together that it just works. It works beautifully for that. These, I am fully at the top. I am fully locked. And at that level, I still have light just a little through the entire jaw. I can see through all the way down this jaw. That may be what they want, but these jaws are parallel on this pair, and there is no flex to the tip. And I mean, I can squeeze them. The handles touch back here, and they're just then getting close to closed. But there's still a hair of light through the entire thing. That's, I don't know. It has a different grip there for me. I'm used to the Knipex style. It depends. If you don't do that kind of thing with your tool, it may not matter to you at all. Now, when you open it on up, it has that same nice grip where as you're depressing the handles, they'll grip together. Now, some other things here. Let's compare, like when the jaws are similarly open and everything, you just have a different space apart in your hand. They feel a lot bulkier, and I'll show you part of why that is. Look at, well, we could even compare, we can put a bigger handle on here. So if we compare these back to back, just like this, look how much more steel there is in that Klein tool over here. Really, really thick top right through here, and that carries right through that handle, which, I mean, it's very similar size down through here, but you notice the Knipex has got a very nice thin areas through here. It's a little bit bulkier tool right through that area. So nothing wrong with that, and I think a lot of what they're dealing with is their mechanism here causes this to have to be thicker in order to actually have everything in the head right here, where Knipex, everything is very thin right up through there and just works very well together. If you see how that's actually built right next to this one, there's just a lot more meat on the Klein in a place that, you know, I don't know, that you need it. So other than for the mechanism, the tools weigh significantly different. I'm going to weigh these two, and I'll put up here on the screen what the two tools weigh right now. So that is that's what the weight difference is. And these are basically the exact same size. If I put those tops right together for you somewhere in there, they have a slightly different head shape, but you can see the handles. That's how the handles are on them with them fully closed. It's a different shape, but they're the same size tool. These are the 250 millimeters, so 10-inch pairs right here. But that's where these are, and that's some of the differences in these two tools. Now, where does this tool actually fit in? Because as we know, this thing here, does a beautiful job of being a pliers wrench. There is nothing like a pliers wrench. It's fantastic for what it does. Completely eliminated adjustable wrenches for me. Just the ability to not worry about slipping around a bolt head, that kind of thing. It's fantastic. And the Cobra, which is kind of iconic for being one of the best pipe gripping, round stock gripping pliers you can get, as well as, Channel Lock makes similar things to this too if you like the USA made tools. But those are just fantastic. So where does a tool that tries to combine both come in? The pliers wrench side of this, I would think, is a decent competitor because it's a pliers wrench. The only thing to get over for you is if you like the control mechanism, and I will say it works fantastic. There's no complaints here on a brand new tool. I have no issues with it. I've used it on a few little jobs, nothing where it's gotten nasty yet. It needs to be thrown into that fire and see what happens, but I'm a little worried about how the mechanism will do with that. Let me know what you guys think of that also. I'm curious if you have a similar opinion of the mechanism, or maybe it doesn't do that at all for you. The other side of this is the Cobra. I think with only one side having grip like that, you're going to have the flat pliers wrench side still on the top. It's better than trying to turn the pipe with a pliers wrench, for sure, if you're gripping something round. That just does not work well. But is it as good as a Cobra? Not in my opinion. I've turned a few things. It will still slip long before a Cobra will. It would be interesting if we had one of those test deals to actually step on these. I do not believe this would hold. I need to check and see if I can get one of those actually. The Cobra, you've all seen it. They put these down. You can stand on the upper jaw and it won't slip on a pipe. I can't imagine that actually happening with this, but let me know if you'd be curious in seeing that test. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it for you guys. I'll try to get a hold of one of those stands where I can actually do that. Would be kind of cool to have anyway. But anyway, that's the comparison. The thing I think about this, where it would fit in, is if you're making something out like a little MP1, MP2 kind of size Vito bag, the little bitty side pouches, and you really only want to carry one wrench, if possible, that can handle both jobs and not have to stick both in there. At that point, sure, the weight's going to beat the combination of both of these together. And the usefulness would be there when you need it. The other part of this is a lot of comments I got on the short were, I give it 5 minutes and you'll lose the lower jaw. A lot of people, if there's anything exchangeable or movable on a tool, you're going to lose it. The only reason, and it's not really a defense, but the only reason I don't think that will happen with this is the tool is not usable without the attachment on it. So you're going to keep it on here in one format or another all the time, and it'll just get flipped when you have to flip it. So I really don't think I'll have a problem losing the jaw. Let me know what you think there too. I'm curious. But take a quick look at how funky this looks set up as a Cobra right there. Is that not just the most aggressive jaw that you have ever seen on something? It's a cool tool. I'll give them that. They made a really cool tool. I think it has its own space in the ecosystem. Really curious what you guys think. I'm really curious about seeing how it holds up long-term in the field. If you guys have actually gotten to use one hard for a while, let me know. I've been stuck trying to make videos with it constantly and not been able to throw it on the truck. It's going on the truck today, and we're going to see how it does going forward. But thank you guys for being here. It's kind of rare that we actually get to look at a new tool that's kind of a complete different little innovation. Just a unique situation. Let me know what you think. See you guys on the next one.